Buongiorno, everybody, and well, hello from Sicily. I'm still in Sicily, and I'm currently in the town of Trapani, which is in western Sicily. It's the very westernmost town. If you think of Sicily as a triangle, it's on the very far tip. And we are today just here to see the Good Friday preparations in the town of Trapani because they have the largest procession in Italy, possibly even in Europe, for Good Friday, and it's called the Mysteries, I Misteri, and they have all of these different stations of the cross set up that have been built out of wood and something like paper mache but made with fabric. And each of these floats has been sponsored by a guild, and they're starting to actually put them together and put the flowers on them for Friday. I sense that they must be winding up to do some sort of event tonight because they've already lit candles and they have fresh flowers. So it is Palm Sunday here in Italy and elsewhere tomorrow. And so Palm Sunday celebrations are underway. We just saw them put up the palms at the church in town. So I thought we'd just take a little spin around and I'll show you. First of all, this church is called a Purgatorio church, which means it was a church where they prayed for people that maybe needed help getting out of purgatory. That was the original intention. It was bombed in World War II. You can see this is all new. So all of these walls were redone after World War II. And you can see also here, look at the damage. You can see part of a column here, but not all of it. So this whole back half of the church was blown out. And they redid it and brought it back to life. And now it's not really used as a church per se, so much as a storage place for the mysteries, because they have them here throughout the year. So I brought my group here to check this out because I think it's a really interesting tradition for Easter. So we've got over here one of the first stations, you can see. And these are paid for each by different guilds. This is the guild or the group of the calzaioli, which are the stocking makers. And if you look up here, you can see Christ, but Christ is being persecuted by a Saracen and a Spaniard. If you go back to the time that these were made, which was 1600s, those are the people who are the enemies to the Sicilians. So that's who you're going to see as the bad guys in all of these tableaus. This one here is the macellai, so these are the butchers, have paid for this one. And you can see behind these wooden poles, and I'll show you in a second how the wooden poles work, but these big floats, they're huge. I mean, these are practically life-size people. They're carried by a team of about a dozen men, maybe a little bit more, and they carry them for 24 hours. This procession through Trapani lasts 24 hours. They start on Good Friday and they go all the way to Holy Saturday, and they switch out as they go along. So different people will come in and substitute, and they'll take them off. And when they hold them, they hold the pole over their shoulder and they rock back and forth like this as they go. And they go along to music that sounds very much like funeral music. I've heard them before practicing. It's very sad kind of trombone music, very moving. And they do this procession for a full 24 hours with all of these different floats. It's lovely. We're getting to see them with all of the flowers. Those are the poles again that they use to be able to carry these around. So they have all of the stations of the cross, and then they have other altars as well, other small floats that are dedicated to certain things like the face of Christ. Here's, of course, the final one where Christ is on the cross. So these have been changed and built over centuries, but for the most part, they're from around the 1800s for the most part, with fresh flowers. So over at the main altar, where they are getting ready, you can see that they have put together one of the floats with the poles. So here are the poles here. So in this way you can see how they're carried. You see how long those poles are? I would say probably this length, maybe 3 to 4 men could be on each pole. And there's 4 stations there. So probably a total of 12 to 16 men hold these and carry them, like I said, for 24 hours. They have the Virgin Mary, they have Christ, and they go in a circle. They stay just in Trapani, and they walk around in a circle the whole time. Rest of the Stations of the Cross here, and as I said, they've lit candles, so it looks to me as if they are going to start doing something tonight. A practice, perhaps. I've run into several practices. Normally, if you come into this church, behind this green thing is a video of the procession, so you can actually watch past processions, but there isn't one now. This is the thing I find in Sicilian processions the most interesting, is Christ in a casket. They have him in a clear casket. I've seen this also in Palermo, the same thing. It's a little bit creepy, to be honest, but this is the tradition. So it's a very interesting way that they celebrate the Holy Week. So in Spain, we call this Semana Santa, and Spain is very famous, of course, for their Holy Week. But here in Sicily, this used to be dominated by the Spaniards. Therefore, we have Settimana Santa, Holy Week, and they celebrate here much like the Spaniards do. In mainland Italy, you do see, of course, processions and things, but they never get to the same level as they take them. Of course, everything in Sicily is bigger and badder, so we have to go a notch up, and a 24-hour procession, and elaborate floats, which is quite different than what you see on the mainland. So the Madonna of Pity. And then I think this is so interesting. Each of these is paid for by a different guild. This one is the bakers. This one is the wall masons. This one is pescivendolo, the fish sellers. This one is the barbers and hairdressers. And again, notice that the bad guys are always Saracens with turbans on them. Fruttivendolo, that means they're the people who sell the fruits and vegetables, paid for this one. And look at all the materials they use. They use metal, fabric, actual chair, right there. And over here, I wanted to show you one I thought was kind of interesting. Each of these guilds is taking care of these. This one here, they have hand-embroidered these cloths, these tissues, I don't know, what do you want to call them? But they're engraved with a name. They're embroidered with a name, with a letter right there. So that's an M, so we know that's Mary. That's a G, so we know that's Joseph, San Giuseppe, and they're with their son. So that's something they don't usually have in their hands the rest of the year, but somebody decided to add those, which I think is a nice touch. And they change a little bit every year. Well, they also have these banners. You can see the banners that they hold for each of these different guilds that march in this. Everybody wears black, and they play that sad music, and it really resembles, in my opinion, a funeral march. It looks a lot like a funeral march. So it's kind of somber with all the swaying and the music changing throughout time. So if you come to Sicily, coming during Holy Week is quite interesting. You'll probably run into processions here, there, and everywhere. But the Friday of Good Friday here in Trapani, 24 hours. This is for sure. So live from Trapani over on the west coast of Sicily, Adventures with Sarah reporting back to you all about what's going on here in beautiful sunny Sicily. And if we run into a procession, I will certainly let you know. Ciao for now.